We're all familiar with the story of David and Goliath. Everybody's pretty familiar with that. Whether you grew up in church or not, you understand the story of David and Goliath. You might have seen some version of it on TV, or somebody might have said something. You see a wrestling match or you see a football game, and they refer to it as a David versus Goliath situation where this underdog team, there's no way they're going to beat this other team, and then suddenly the little guy beat the big guy. And we've heard the expression, we know of the story of David and Goliath. He had the courage to stand before his enemies when no one else did. He's the one that killed Goliath, the champion of the Philistine army. He came in and he took the giant down when everybody else is hiding. They don't want anything to do with Goliath because he's a big boy. That guy was trained. He's been trained to fight since he was really little. So everybody's hiding from Goliath. And David decides to step out and take him down. The Philistines were a constant thorn in David's side through his life. It wasn't just that one time. They come back over and over again, and they're really a pain to David. He fights the Philistines a lot. Through David's life, we see him confronting this group of people over and over again. But David had another enemy that pursued him even more than the Philistines pursued him. He had this other enemy, and it was the king of his own people. That was the enemy. That was David's biggest enemy in life, was his own king. That was his number one enemy. King Saul had become so self-absorbed in his life that he had a problem with David. He was enjoying his status, but then a threat arose, and he wanted to get rid of that threat. God was still helping Saul. He was still there. He was still helping Saul as the king of Israel, but he knew that Saul's heart was becoming callous and to the things of God, and things were going to have to change because he was enjoying his own status so much that God's like, your heart is drifting from me, and we're going to have to make a change here. So God determined that the kingdom would be one day turned over to David. Saul and David were on the same team, but there came a day when Saul considered David to be his enemy. David was not his enemy. Saul put him in that category. They were on the same side. Saul was David's king. So it's not like they couldn't get along. It's just one day Saul chose to make David his enemy. They were returning home after their victory against the Philistines. Again, they were fighting the Philistines. They're returning home from their victory against the Philistines when they were met by women celebrating their return, and these women were singing. So look at this verse in 1 Samuel chapter 18 and verse 7. It says, so the women sang as they danced and said, Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s. Then Saul was very angry, and the saying displeased him, and he said, they have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed only thousands. So now what more can he have but the kingdom? So Saul eyed David from that day forward. From that day forward, Saul was determined to take David's life. One little celebration, and Saul says, that's it. What more can he have? I mean, he's taking everything from me. Even the victory. They're singing, David has killed his 10,000s and Saul only thousands. I'm thinking if I could take down 1,000 guys and you wanted to sing about that, I'm going to feel pretty good about 1,000. You know, I'm not going to be upset about that. But Saul's like, no, David's getting more credit than I am. He's getting more glory than I am. And from this point on, I want him dead. I just want him, I want him gone. David became a threat to Saul's sense of entitlement. That's all. There was never an attack. David didn't do anything wrong. It's just Saul now has a pride issue that's being attacked, and he wants David off the scene. David eventually had to run and hide from Saul in order to survive. And we see many, many chapters dealing with the fact that David is in hiding from Saul. Many of the Psalms that were written while David was alone and being hunted. A lot of our Psalms come from that time in David's life. Saul caused so much emotional pain in David's life, and David could have become a bitter person because of it. He could have become bitter. A lot of us would have done that. We would have become bitter because somebody's chasing us and hunting us down for no reason. We didn't do anything wrong, but we're the enemy. And maybe you have a scenario that fits in your life in some way with that topic. Like, I didn't do anything wrong, but that person has no respect for me and they see me as the enemy. Now I can become bitter in that situation. We all could become bitter in that situation. David chose a different path. I want to show you a story this morning that reveals David's wisdom. Even though he spent all of this time running away from Saul, he rises to the occasion when victory presents itself in an unusual way. David says, okay, I'm not going to be taken down by all of the reality that is happening. I've got a different path I want to take. So look with me at 1 Samuel chapter 26, and we'll start in verse 1. Now the Ziphites came to Saul at Gibeah, saying, is not David hiding in the hill of Achilah, opposite of Jeshimon? Then Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him, to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul encamped in the hill of Hakilah, which is opposite of Jeshimon by the road. But David stayed in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul came after him in the wilderness. Then David therefore sent out spies and understood that Saul had indeed come. So here we go again. He's now hiding from Saul, and Saul shows up. Saul finds out that David's hiding in the wilderness of Ziph, and he has shown up with 3,000 soldiers to kill him. I've come with 3,000 men. That should take care of the problem. Saul has killed his thousands. Now he's after one, and he brings thousands to get rid of the one. David seems to be a pretty big issue in Saul's life. David hears that Saul has discovered his whereabouts, so what he does is he sends out spies to find out if it's true. And the report comes back, yep, Saul's here. He's right at our front door, David. They found us. They're here. Same book, different chapter. Here we go again. He's back, and he wants you dead. David is once again about to face the end of Saul's spear. And he constantly, he's trying to hide from Saul, and Saul constantly shows up to kill him. And he has two options. He can continue running, or he can confront Saul. Those are his two options. So by night, David decides to scope out the situation. He understands they're here again. They're here to kill me. I can either run, I can continue running, or I can go confront Saul. Look at verse 5. So David arose and came to the place where Saul had encamped, and David saw the place where Saul lay, and Abner, the son of Ner, the commander of his army. Now Saul lay within the camp, with the people encamped all around him. This is what David sees when he goes to spy out the situation. I want to go check it out and see what we're up against here. Saul is sleeping in the middle of the camp. Abner, the commander of Israel's army, is sleeping close by. He's right there with Saul for protection. Around these two men, 3,000 soldiers were sleeping as a barricade to protect Saul. That's the situation. He looks in and says, okay, that's our next dilemma. Saul's in the middle. The commander of the army is right next to Saul, and they are surrounded by 3,000 soldiers. King Saul is secure. He's very well protected. His men are doing their job. When David sees what he's up against, he devises a plan. Look at verse 6. Then David answered and said to Ahimelech the Hittite and to Abishai the son of Zeruiah, brother of Joab, saying, who will go down with me to Saul in the camp? And Abishai said, I will go down with you. So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and there Saul lay sleeping within the camp, with his spear stuck in the ground by his head, and Abner and the people lay all around him. Abishai volunteers to go down to the camp with David. David says, who will go down to the camp, go to Saul with me? This strongly resembles a suicide mission. Every time I read it, I can't see it any other way. This looks like a suicide mission. Hey, will one of you guys go with me into the middle of 3,000 soldiers who are hunting us? Anybody up for that? And Abishai says, yeah, pick me. Abishai doesn't seem to be a healthy man mentally. When you look at this, David says, I need one of you to go with me. And Abishai says, yeah, I'll go with you. David did not ask, who will go down into the camp for me? He said, who will go down into the camp with me? Abishai knows David's going down. Okay, we got one guy on the list. David's going down into the camp. So Abishai insists that he's going to go down with him for protection. Abishai's one of David's men. I'm coming with you, David. I'm going to go down with you. What Abishai didn't know was that David was up to something far greater than a quick victory. He's got a plan. David's got a plan here. When Abishai saw that the entire Israelite army was asleep, he spoke up and offered his services to David once again. They get there, they're looking at the situation. The king's in the middle, 3,000 people around the king, they're all sleeping. Abishai has an idea and he offers his services to David. Look at verse 8. Then Abishai said to David, God has delivered your enemy into your hand this day. Now therefore, please let me strike him at once with the spear right to the earth, and I will not have to strike him a second time. We all love to have friends like Abishai around. We like these guys. We like to have these friends. David was wrongly accused. He was Saul's enemy, but he didn't do anything to deserve that. He didn't do anything wrong. He was being hunted because of Saul's jealousy. He was separated from his people and he's living in caves. David's on the run. That's his scenario here. When he spoke to his men about the situation, Abishai is the one that jumps up and offers to go in his defense. I'm going with you. I'm going to protect you, David. When he sees the opportunity to make a move, he tells David that he wants to take care of things. Let me strike him. I won't have to do it a second time. I'll get him the first time, David. Let me go down there instead of you. Let me go down there. God has delivered him into your hands, David. He's right there. I can go down and I will take care of this and end the battle today. I'm there for you. I won't even have to take another swing. Just let me take care of it, David. It always feels nice to have someone who sides with you when someone else has done you wrong. That always feels good. Whether it's a healthy situation or not, it's always nice to have that person that sees that you've been wronged, or at least you feel like you've been wronged, and they take up your side. That we enjoy that. It feels nice. They tell you how you are justified in your anger. Sometimes they offer suggestions of how to get revenge. We've all had friends like that or people like that in our lives. Maybe we've even been those people from time to time. But they'll offer you ideas, you should do this, or they don't deserve this, you're better than that. And, they give you all those words of encouragement, how they justify how you're right in being angry. And here's an idea of how you can get revenge. Sometimes they'll just sit there and badmouth the other person with you for hours or days or years. You'll always talk negatively about that one person. They've got your back. They've got your back. And you feel like you've been done wrong, and they are there and says, let me at them. Let me at them. This kind of support never helps you grow. Just make a note, put it on make a refrigerator magnet, a t-shirt, whatever you need to do. This kind of support will never, ever help you grow. It only tears down your character because negativity breeds negativity. Negativity always breeds more negativity. So this isn't a healthy situation. Abishai thought he was coming to support and help David. What was actually happening was David was helping Abishai. It's amazing how this whole story is about to take a turn here. Look at verse 9. But David said to Abishai, do not destroy him, for who can stretch out his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? David said, furthermore, as the Lord lives, the Lord shall strike him, or his day shall come to die, or he shall go out to battle and perish. David just took all of Abishai's understanding away. Abishai was there to support David. There's an opportunity right there. David, we can end it right now. He's hunting you. He's in a position where I can sneak in there. I'll do what I have to do, and I'll strike him down. I can end this for you. And David says, oh no, absolutely not. So in Abishai's mind, if they didn't come to kill Saul, what are they there for? Why are we here? Why did we come out here if it wasn't to get out of this situation? Abishai sees the perfect opportunity to end all of David's heartache and struggles. I can end it in a second. I can do this. And David says, don't do that. Don't end it. Don't do it. God created him, and God has placed him in this position, and we will not raise our hand against the Lord's anointed. We're not going to strike him down. We're not going to do that. I bet Abishai was wondering, if I'm not here to back David up, why am I here? What am I doing here? David wasn't looking for a friend to feed his discouragement. That's not what David needed. That kind of friend only teaches you to dwell on the negative. It sucks you right in. Hey, you're right. You're right for the way you feel. I support you all the way. You should do this to them. Or let's just talk bad about them. Let's go have dinner and talk bad about that person every time we get together. That'll make you feel better, and it'll make you feel like I'm there to support you, and it's a good thing. No, that kind of friend always teaches you to dwell on the negative. Not only feel negative, but to live there. You will now dwell on the negative. David was needing support in a different area. I don't need a friend that's coming with me to help me dwell on the negative. I need somebody to back me up in a different way. Look at verse 11. The Lord forbid that I should stretch out my hand against the Lord's anointed, but please, take now the spear and the jug of water that are by his head, and let us go. So David took the spear and the jug of water by Saul's head, and they got away, and no man saw or knew it or awoke, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord had fallen on them. This was the battle plan. They were going to walk between 3,000 sleeping soldiers. They're going to grab a spear and a jug of water, and they're going to leave. That's the entire plan. That's genius. We're going to walk right in the middle of all of that, grab the jug of water, grab the spear, and let's get out of there. Let's get out of there. This is what David needed a friend for. This is the support he wanted. Abishai might not have understood what was going on, but he was there for David in whatever capacity he could fill. What do you need, David? My time's your time. My abilities, they're yours. Just use me in whatever way. And it turns out that he just needed to retrieve a drink and a spear. That's all David wanted. That's what I came for? Yeah, that's all I need you to do. Go grab the jug of water and the spear, and let's get out of here. We're shopping? That's what we're doing here? You needed a shopping buddy? That's all I need. That's all I need. Just go in there, grab the spear and the jug of water, and let's leave. God was apparently in favor of this plan, since he caused all those men to have a really good night's sleep that night. It says that the Lord allowed them to have a deep sleep. They were in a deep sleep. Abishai was able to come in there, grab the jug of water and the spear and get out, and those guys didn't know anything about it because they were sleeping really, really well that night. After they retrieved the spear and the jug of water, they went to a hill that was quite a distance away. Abishai and David go to a hill in the distance here. This is where David shows Abishai what he needed him for. I'm sure Abishai's just, man, what are we doing? I mean, we got a new spear. That's great. We got a jug of water. That's awesome too, but what are we accomplishing here? This is where David shows Abishai exactly what he needed Abishai to support him with. Look at verse 14. And David called out to the people and to Abner the son of Ner, saying, "Do you not answer, Abner?" And Abner answered and said, "Who are you calling out to the king?" So David said to Abner, "Are you not a man? And who is like you in Israel? Why then have you not guarded your lord the king? For one of the people came in to destroy your lord the king. This thing that you have done is not good. As the Lord lives, you deserve to die, because you have not guarded your master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the jug of water that was by his head." Abner's in a tight spot. David starts yelling from this distant hill. And they're like, "Who are you?" They don't recognize him. They're like, "Who are you?" And he starts putting Abner down. David just pointed out that the commander of Israel's army slept while someone walked right up to the king and took his spear and jug of water that night. "Abner, you've done a bad job. Was it your job to protect the king?" "Yeah." "Where's the spear and the jug of water, Abner?" "Uh-oh. That's a bad thing. That's a bad thing." And he says, somebody walked into your camp last night. It was your job to protect the king. What you've done is wrong, and you do deserve to die. I'm sure Abner's not having a good day. Like somebody just starts yelling at him, and he's like, who are you? Like, who are you? Aren't you a man? Wasn't it your job to protect the king? Yeah. Where's the spear in the water? I'm not real sure. Let me explain it to you. You allowed somebody to get to the king last night. You deserve to die. David took Saul's spear, leaving him defenseless. Then he also took the jug of water which Saul needed for survival. Took them both. But he left Saul alive. I took his defense and I took his means of survival. But I left him there. He still survived. I left him alive. When Saul hears the conversation between Abner and David, Saul recognizes David's voice. Like, I know that kid. I've heard him before. I know that kid. Look at verse 17. Then Saul knew David's voice and said, "Is that your voice, my son David?" And David said, "It is my voice, my lord, O king." And he said, "Why does my lord thus pursue his servant? For what have I done, or what evil is in my hand?" Saul has just had his life spared by his enemy. You could have killed me with my own spear. You could have killed me, but you spared my life. David has just proven that he could have ended this battle just like that. I could have ended it all. He could have had the justice that most people would desire. Yeah, that person just needs to get out of my life. They just need to go. He could have allowed all the negativity to destroy his character through the years. He could have become more and more bitter. Instead, he chose to follow a different example. When Saul understood what David did, he responded with the answer that might have shocked the 3,000 soldiers that came with Saul. Look at his answer in verse 21. Then Saul said, "I have sinned. Return, my son David, for I will harm you no more, because my life was precious in your eyes this day. Indeed, I have played the fool and erred exceedingly." Abishai got to experience an unexpected victory by following David's lead. David, we won. We won. He's not going to chase you anymore. He said he's done. We won. How do we do that? We got his spear in his water. Yeah, but we didn't do anything with it. We just took it. That's all we did. How in the world did we win? Abishai thought he was going to back up David by defending David and defeating his enemies. That's what Abishai thought they were going to do. He believed David was justified if he wanted to kill Saul. Not only are you justified, I'll do the dirty work for you. Let's get this done. Abishai came to be a friend that stood by David in his feelings of revenge and negativity. David, if you want to kill him, I'm backing you up. I got you. I got your back on this. If you want to end this today, let's end it today. I'll do it for you. I'm backing you. If you feel like you need revenge or justice or whatever, I got your back, David. I support you on this. David wasn't looking for a friend who would support him through all the negative feelings. He was looking for a friend who would encourage grace. I need somebody that will come with me and support me in showing grace. That's what I need. Abishai, are you in for whatever I ask you to do? Anything, David. Let's grab his spear and his jug of water and let's get out of here. Even that, I got your back, David. I might not understand it, but I got your back. What do you want to do? I want you to help me encourage grace. I need your help, because I could go down here too. I could have feelings of hurt. I could have feelings of betrayal. I could go down here. I know what negativity does, and I need somebody to back me up. And together we need to back up grace. We got to do this together. That's the kind of friend I need. David needed someone who would help him move forward in showing grace in difficult times. I need that guy. I need that guy. Negativity has a power that is massive. Grab this as we're going into the Christmas season. Negativity can ruin a holiday. It can ruin relationships. It can ruin your character. Negativity has a power that is massive. It can destroy lives, relationships, cultures. It can destroy so much. It is a powerful thing. It'll change your character in your life if you choose to dwell on it. It causes depression. It causes anxiety. All of us need friends who will encourage us to live a life of grace. That's what we need. It's always nice to have that friend around that says, all right, you're right for what you feel, and you're justified in your anger, and let's go get them together, and I got your back. Sure, I understand that. I've had those people in my life too, and you're like, yeah, you're right. I should be mad at them. Yeah, you're right. And then we're listening to that person and we're enjoying that because it feeds our ego. It feeds our sense of pride. It makes us feel right. Even if we are wrong, that friend can turn our mentality around and we're like, yeah, I'm right, they're wrong. Now we're living on it. We're building on it, and it's destroying our character on the inside. All of us need a friend like Abishai. Says, yeah, I'll back you up even for the grace. I'll back up grace with you. Now, this doesn't mean that we need to kick our negative friends to the curb. If you all, I'm taking names right now, you're negative. After church is over, you guys are out of here. No, we don't need to kick our negative friends to the curb. It just means that we need to ask them to do us a favor. Will you go down with me into the camp of my enemy and help me offer grace? Can you do that? Don't help me justify my feelings. I need you to help me. I need you to back me up as I'm backing grace. I need help with that. Can you do me that favor? Will you go down with me into the camp of my enemy and help me offer grace? We need to lead by example. We need to be the person that we need others to be for us. Don't wait for that other person to be that person. You go ahead and be that person for somebody else. Before long, you'll have a team of people, and you started the ball rolling. Don't wait for somebody to show up and be the person. You be the person first. Go ahead and be that person. This is the mindset that we have to live by. God put it in the Bible for us, so you may not like anything I'm saying, but let's go ahead and show you what God said, and you can take it up with Him. This is the mindset that we need to be in. Philippians chapter 4 and verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. That's the mindset. He doesn't say, whatever things are abusive, whatever things are cruel, whatever things are vengeful, think on these things. No, he switches everything. Yeah, but what if somebody does me wrong? Is it a good report? Does it have any virtue? Is it praiseworthy at all? No. Is grace praiseworthy? Yes. Why don't you show that instead? Vengeance isn't praiseworthy, but grace is. So think on those things. Go ahead and live your life like that. We not only need to live this way, we need to surround ourselves with other people who do the same. Help me back up grace. Help me back up grace. David knew what he was going to do. He just needed someone to support him in doing it. I need somebody to back me up as I back up grace. I need somebody to back me up here. He already took the stand. He just understood the power of negativity. I could get out there and my feelings could strike again. That feeling of hurt and betrayal, all that could strike me again. I need somebody to come with me. Could David have walked down into that group of soldiers and grabbed a spear and a jug of water? Absolutely. Why did he need a friend? I know the power of negativity. I know what it can do. And my mission is to offer grace, not revenge. I'm going to need some backing here. I'm going to need some backing. I'm going to let you know what the plan is, and that's what we're going to do. We're grabbing the spear and the water, and we're getting out of here. That's the plan. So he united himself with someone who would support him in doing the right thing. Because I know what negativity can do. And I'm going to need some backup on this. Abishai helped him administer grace where others would have encouraged justice. You have the right to end this now, David. Like, well, if he's going to die, it's going to be because God deemed him worthy of death, not me. It's going to be because he dies in battle, but not at my hand. I'm not offering revenge today. I'm offering grace today. Do I have anybody that will back me up? Well, I'm backing grace. And Abishai says, count me in. Might be a little weird, but let's do it together. Let's do it. Let's back up grace. David understood the truth of this next verse. Even though this is a New Testament verse, David understood the truth of this verse. Look at 1 Corinthians 15 in verse 33. Do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits. The word evil here means worthless or harmful. That's what the word evil means. The word good means useful or gracious. So let me paraphrase what this verse is saying. Don't be deceived. Don't fool yourself into believing it won't affect you. Companionship that doesn't offer worth destroys useful behaviors of grace. That verse there's so much packed into that verse. Don't think it won't affect you. Evil company. The company that doesn't offer you any worth. They just back you up on all those negative feelings. Don't be deceived. It will affect you too. Companionship that doesn't offer worth destroys useful behaviors of grace. That's a powerful verse. It changes you. Negative company will take you down. It will change you. It will destroy your character. People who dwell on the negative will affect your life negatively. It makes sense that it would, but we don't live that way. Sometimes it really feels good to have that person that backs us up on our feelings. Man, that's nice. I like that. But the truth is, it's not healthy. Negativity is going to happen in life. I'm an optimistic person. I love optimism. I don't know, it makes me feel better than pessimism does. So I choose optimism. I'm an optimistic person. But negativity is going to happen in life. I'm not a fool. I know rough times come. A positive outlook and a positive attitude are not going to protect you from negative experiences. Let's be real about that. Negative things come in life. They come at us. Tough times will come. Storms are natural. It happens. It happens. God often uses these times to strengthen us. But the negative things do come our way. We all need someone who will turn our attention back to the grace of God rather than encouraging us to dwell on Satan's desires. Yeah, be mad at him. Go ahead and put a wedge between you and that other person. Let's build division. Let's go ahead and tear this apart. Satan wants us to do that, and God's like, I would rather see grace. So we need to surround ourselves with people who are chasing after grace and backing up the character of God. David had the right idea. He knew how unhealthy a negative outlook could be. He knew he was susceptible to it. Read some of his Psalms. They're not all uplifting. Some of the Psalms are like, that's really depressing. That's so depressing. That's where he was. He understands. He understood that he could even be affected by negativity. It can get me too. So he chose to surround himself with people who backed up grace instead. David knew that God had anointed him to be the next king of Israel. I know what God wants from me. And that job is going to require a good and godly character. If I'm going to be a good king, if I'm going to be a king that God wants me to be, I'm going to have character that backs that up. So that means I have to back up grace. And I'm going to need to surround myself with people who will help me back up grace. He knew he was going to need a friend to support him, not with revenge, but in the hard stuff. Revenge is the easy stuff. Grace is the hard stuff. I need friends who will support me in the difficult times. Not the difficult times of the struggles that come in life and the heartaches and the loss and the pain. Not the negative hard times in life. The hard times in life where God wants me to show grace when I just don't feel like it. I don't want to be nice to the person who treats me wrong. That's the hard time in life. Seriously. Some of us would rather go through the struggles of life rather than show grace to the person who caused them. Sometimes showing grace is the bigger struggle. That's the hard time. We need friends who will help us do that, because you build relationships. You tear down enemies, but not with revenge. You tear them down because you made them your friend. And now you don't have an enemy anymore. You win. And you got a bonus friend with the deal, because you chose to offer grace rather than revenge. David was a man who understood the importance of taking care of his spiritual health. We often don't think about our spiritual health. We think about physical health, mental health. Spiritual health? Don't think about that too often. David says, oh no, that's important too. Because there is a battle going on over us. Even after we're saved, we have a battle going on. Satan wants to tear us down. Just because we got saved doesn't mean you're like, man, they got saved, I guess I'm done, I lost. No, he's still involved. He still wants to tear you down, ruin relationships and all of that. And David understood the importance of taking care of his health spiritually. The wrong company could change his character. He believed it and he guarded himself from it. I need the right company. This world is going to send enough negative situations our way. Go turn on the TV, you'll find one. Within a minute, you'll find something that is not godly. You'll find something that is negative. The world's going to throw negativity our way all the time. We're going to be hurt by people, and we're going to be disappointed and discouraged from time to time. These things happen. It's life. It happens. We could all use friends who will support us in backing grace at all times. I need to call somebody, not because I need to tell them what somebody did to me and I need them to back me up on my feelings, but I need to call somebody that can encourage me in showing grace in those situations. Look at Proverbs 27 and verse 17. These are the friends we need, and the Bible tells us all about it. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. God shows us right there, you're going to need these friends who make you better. You don't need the friends that offer no worth. You need to surround yourself with people that will sharpen you and make you better and stronger and show the character of God from your life. That's the circle you need to run in. That's the one. If you've ever have had negative people in your life, or if you currently have negative people in your life, live the example of grace. Live the example of grace. If you're overwhelmed by hardships of life, surround yourself with people who will direct your attention back to the grace and the goodness of God. I need you. I need you. Why? Because I'm really mad at somebody. One friend's going to say, you're really mad? What did they do? They did this. This is how I feel. You're right. I don't need that friend right now. I need this friend. I'm really mad right now and I have negative feelings towards somebody. Okay. Do you remember that? You remember that place in the Bible that says, while we were yet sinners, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us? Remember when we were the enemies of God? We chose to go against him and he offered us grace and he became our friend, and now we're saved and we're going to heaven because of that example? Yeah? Let's try that. That's the friend you need. That's the circle you need to run in. Those are the people that we need in our lives. Hold on to what Asaph wrote in Psalm 73. Asaph was a remarkable person. Look at what he wrote in Psalm 73 and verse 28. But it is good for me to draw near to God. I have put my trust in the Lord God, that I may declare all your works. These are the kind of reminders that we need in our life. This is it right here. Draw near to God, that you may declare all his works, including his grace. All of them. God shows his grace. Life gets tough. And people can sometimes become difficult and they can become cruel. We know them. And every one of us in this room could probably think of somebody that fits into that category somewhat. People can be difficult and people can be cruel. I promise you that I will be a friend who will help you in backing grace. I will be that friend for you. I will do that. And what I'm asking you to do is be that for each other. We've got enough people supporting the negative. A whole world full of them. They're supporting the negative. Oh, you're right for the way you feel. Don't worry about it. Just keep going down this road. I got your back. Yeah, well, it's good to have company, but evil company or company that tears down worth will destroy you. It will destroy you. Might feel good, but it's going to tear you down. I promise you I will be the friend that will help you back grace. Call me when you're having a hard time. I promise you my answer won't be, tell me where they're at. I will strike them. I will not have to strike them twice. That will not be my answer. My answer will be to back grace every time. I will be that friend for you, and I'm asking you to be that friend for each other. Back up grace. Back up grace. I promise you everything gets better when God's character shows up when Satan is trying to use negativity to tear you down. Everything is so much better when God's character shines through rather than those feelings of hurt. The holiday season is a time where Satan tries to get our focus off of God and onto stress. And he usually does a pretty good job. We get stressed, we get hurt. The things we want in life don't turn out the way we want them to. Sometimes the turkey burns. Sometimes the pie overcooks. Sometimes the pie cooks perfectly, and as you're taking it out of the oven, you drop it. Been there, been there, been there. And how quickly the holiday can be ruined because a pie fell on the floor. Or something bad happens in the circumstances. It can ruin us. And Satan is like, yeah, please, focus on all the negativity. Do not focus on God. This holiday season, we need people who will be faithful in backing grace. Pie hits the floor. Like, well, guess what? I just helped us all with our New Year's resolution on losing weight. We're not eating this pie. Turn it around. Just turn it around. It's no big deal. It's just a negative circumstance. But it cannot change my character. I can't allow it to change my character. If somebody gets mad at you, if you've been hurt, offer grace to that person. It will surprise them. The person that doesn't get a gift from you ever because of who they are ends up getting a gift on Christmas and just says the gift and someone says, I'm praying for you and I love you. They won't know what to do with that. But it starts everything moving in the right direction. Back up grace. Back up grace. Our God did an amazing thing to come to us and at Christmas. He came to this earth. We could not get to God. There was no way for us to get to God. So he came to us. And he offered us salvation, which we could not earn. You can't be good enough to get to heaven. He offered us grace. And I'm so glad for his grace. Now let's back that up. As his people, let's start backing grace.